and welcome to The Dynamic Entrepreneurs. I'm your hostess, Jenny Edwards, and I am so overjoyed today because I have a very, very special guest, TR Garland. Welcome, TR.
Hi, Jenny. Hi, everybody. How are you doing today?
Awesome. Well, for those of you watching, if you aren't familiar yet with TR, then I just want to introduce what an amazing man. He has spent over a decade of his life doing trainings with really valuable, important players like Laurel Langmeyer and Brian Tracy, Michael Gerber, and Think and Grow Rich organization. It's just very inspiring and very visionary work that he's done. And he's received some really special awards. One that was from the Wall Street Journal. He's a best-selling author, and he really does something influential as far as helping people create more increase of their prospects, their partners, and their platforms using LinkedIn, which is really an instrumental tool, and shifting how people see as their relationship marketing and business networking. So, I'm so excited to have you on.
Raise the roof, everybody. We're going to have fun today.
Awesome.
We are going to have a conversation. It's going to be between Jenny and I right now, but it's for each and every one of you.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. So can you tell us more about your business and what you do, TR?
Sure, absolutely. I myself today, think of myself as a mission-driven marketer. And what I mean by that is there are many speakers, authors, coaches, service-based professionals, people that think of themselves as change makers or movement makers. And up until recently, they really only had one choice. And that was to focus on learning from money-driven marketers, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. A money-driven marketer is focused on making money, and therefore they are going to teach money-driven marketing methods. Whereas conscious entrepreneurs, purpose-driven professionals, they were seeing that as a viable solution to help them grow their own platform, to help them turn their own mission into a movement. So they would go and invest money, whether it be in a $2,000 program or a $20,000 mastermind or a $75,000 private coaching. And what was happening was once they got a look behind the scenes and really saw these money-driven marketers, they realized they were out of alignment. They were incongruent with that approach. So no matter how hard they tried to follow that person's advice, it wasn't working for them. Mm-hmm. So to specifically answer your question, someone needed to stand up. Someone needed to say, there are mission-driven marketing methods that you can use that are more congruent with who you are as an individual, that honor yourself, your values and your virtues, and honor the values and virtues of your prospects, of which you hope to attract into your community. So I consider myself a mission-driven marketing mentor. Yes. And we ourselves, are really making a name for this specific movement after being in this personal and professional development space for 10 years.
I love it. That's great. Yes, I love the idea of just having that mission, that creating movements and creating more change, more positive change. So what do you think is important about being dynamic as an entrepreneur?
So I think that's a great question. And I think that I'm going to answer it in a slightly different way that some others may have answered it. I often tell my community members to be authentic. And I make a statement to them that I repeat to myself weekly and monthly. And that statement is that authenticity includes setting boundaries. And I'll repeat myself for those of you taking notes right now. Authenticity includes setting boundaries. And I often find that the unhappy professionals out there in the marketplace, the unhappy professionals that are watching this specific series from you, Jenny, They're unhappy because they've allowed someone to step over their boundaries. And they have lived their life according to someone else's definition of success. So to truly be dynamic, it's my recommendation that each and every one of you listening to this conversation that Jenny and I are having today, to be your true authentic self. And being authentic includes setting boundaries for yourself and setting boundaries for the people around you, so that you can stay in this energy field on who you are always supposed to be.
I like that. Yeah, and a big part of that is first of all having the clarity of what are the boundaries, and then communicating that to the people. Because oftentimes people get, those boundaries cross, and the person on the other side doesn't even realize that was the boundary that they crossed. So
You're right. It's about communication. Often, everybody has relationships, yet few people relate. That's a writer downer as well. And I'll say it again. Everyone has relationships, yet few people relate. And that's building upon what you just said, a very important point, Jenny, which is oftentimes, unless you are clear, concise, and compelling with your own choice of words, how else is someone supposed to know what your boundary is? How else is someone supposed to know who wants to refer you business, who is an advocate and a champion for you, unless you're clear, concise, and compelling with your messaging? How else do you expect them to react? They are living a different reality than you are. Your reality is your interpretation of what's going on in your mind and what's going on around you. And you've got to take a stand. You've got to stand up, and you've got to begin controlling the conversation around you. If you intend on having any amount of success in any type of solopreneur, entrepreneur, or small business, you must control the conversation in your head and the conversation around you.
Yes, it all starts with that self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So regarding, I guess, actually that would be a great lead-in to my next question, because since it all starts with the talk from within, what other insights do you have for our viewers about how to show up confidently or grow their audience and creating more abundance?
Sure, absolutely. What I would love to do is bring a little context into this conversation. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
So as opposed to just sharing my opinion and answering your question, what I wanted to do is share with everybody a sequence. Successful people follow successful sequences that were already proven by other successful people, right? It's a reality. In other words, model what works. So what I want to do is introduce step number one. Step number one is mission. You must first understand, you must go on the inside and think about what your true mission is. What lessons has life taught you that uniquely qualify you and only you to offer your gift to the marketplace? So step number one is always mission. And I believe that your mission determines your messaging. Your mission determines your messaging. And the reason is because your messaging is designed to both pre-qualify and disqualify prospects and prospective partners. Your messaging is designed to pre-qualify and disqualify your prospects and prospective partners. So step number one is your mission. Step number two, your mission determines your messaging. And step number three is marketing. You then apply your messaging to your marketing. Your marketing could include phone conversations. Your marketing could include posting on social media. Your marketing could include email. It could include a trade show booth. The bottom line is your mission determines your messaging, and your messaging is then applied to your marketing. When you follow that three-step sequence so far, then you're going to want to choose what type of media to place your marketing into. what type of media. Because when you choose that specific type of media, you are basically segmenting a part of society that is going to resonate with your messaging and that is going to react to your messaging.
Take
Right?
action. Yeah.
Exactly. And when a segment of society resonates with and reacts to your messaging, you will then be motivating that segment of society into action. You'll be motivating them into action. And when you motivate them into action, it magnifies and multiplies your own message. Right? Think about that. Your mission determines your messaging. Your messaging is applied to your marketing. You then select which mode of media that you want to put your marketing into. The mode of media assists you in segmenting a part of society that is going to resonate and react to your messaging, which will cause them to be motivated. That motivation will help you magnify and multiply your own message, and that brings you to closure, which is movement. That is how you take your mission and turn your mission into a movement. It's a 7-step success sequence. It's been proven for me. It's been proven for my clients like Brian Tracy, Laurel Langmeyer, the Think and Grow Rich brand, Michael Gerber from the E-Myth, all the others behind the scenes that I've worked with, Mark Victor Hansen, 80% of the people from the movie The Secret that I've worked with, and my private clients that were emerging speakers, authors, coaches, and transformational leaders. They all followed this specific 7-step success sequence for finally turning your mission into a movement.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's powerful.
You are quite welcome. I know it's a surprise for you. I showed you the flashcards before we went live, but you didn't know I was going to get this deep, did you?
Woo, I love it. Well, and that's really also what I see as a dynamic entrepreneur too, because that when you were talking about it magnifying, because you're attracting so much because you're putting it out there.
Correct.
You're sharing your gifts, you're sharing your talents, you're adding value. And then you're attracting the right people that want to be around you, want to work with you, and want to help you share the vision.
Yeah, in essence, you're owning your own story. You are owning your own story. At the end of the day, I consider myself a marketer. Right? Yes, I was ranked number 3 out of a nationwide sales force by the time I was 23. Yes, I was ranked number 9 out of an international sales force by the time I was 27. And by the time I was 30, I was burned out working for the man, right? I was really, really burned out because I was surrounded by people that didn't share the same values and virtues that I did. Now, am I good at sales today? Yeah. Do I need to sell? No. Hell no, I don't. Because when you get really, really good with your mission and determine your mission determines your messaging, and your messaging can simply be applied to your marketing. When someone's a good marketer, they don't need to learn to sell. It's the truth. When someone is a good marketer in sharing what they stand for and what they stand against,
and creating those boundaries.
you allow, your messaging, to, blend with your marketing, and you allow that to do the pre-qualification and disqualification. And then you're predominantly only speaking to people on the phone or video conferencing like this that already understand, who you are, a little bit more about who you are. So you're not wasting your time with what some people call tire kickers that are just, exploring. You want your marketing out there to convey as much about you as possible. And Jenny, you know this because you participated in this last weekend's Philanthro Party.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing.
We host Philanthro Parties because we wanted to bring together, industry icons, influencers, change makers, transformational leaders, and we wanted them to have an experience. And we host them at my home here, And in order to, come to the philanthropy party, we ask people to buy a ticket, and that ticket is in the form of a donation to my daughter Abigail's charity. And so that is a filter. Jenny, perfect example. That's a filter. We want people to believe in the purpose behind the party, and that is to raise awareness and donations for causes that we believe in. And so everybody that was at the Spring Fling, the recent philanthropy party, they all believed in the purpose behind the party because they made a donation directly to Abigail's charity. We raised over $10,000, from one evening, that will support the self-worth and self-esteem in children. And oh, by the way, by doing that, was proving what I stand for and what I stand against. So my actions went beyond the words that I was using.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so powerful too. And the fact that you're teaching your daughter this, and she's, creating ripples in the world and creating change, and, she's inspiring other kids, other children her age to step up as leaders too. It's so powerful. This whole new generation of leaders.
It's exciting. And let me point out, if I can help my daughter turn her mission into a movement, then please pay attention to the remainder of this interview, that Jenny's conducting, because I have experience in simplifying and demystifying how to turn your purpose into, a profit center.
So how can people follow what you're doing or learn more about it? Is there a website, or is there something that you want to share with them?
That's a great question. We've been skewed towards turning your mission into a movement, right? So if that piques your interest, if you're listening right now and you would like a full 90-minute training on how to turn your mission into a movement, then my request is just send me an email directly saying, Jenny sent me, may I please have the link to the training? And my email address is tr@trgarland.me. That's my private email address. I will get it directly. And just in the subject line, just type in Jenny sent me, and I will know to send you a link to this not yet released. It's never been released to the public before. I just conducted a private mastermind call that went through the 7-step sequence of taking your mission and turning it into a movement and monetizing that movement. So that's invitation number one. If what I said resonated with you, just send me an email, tr@trgarland.me, and I will hook you up with that 90-minute training. Now, the second thing that I wanted to bring up, Jenny, is we alluded to the fact in the beginning that I happen to be really, really good at teaching people how to use their free LinkedIn profile to get more prospects, partners, and platforms. And so as my original gift to your audience, I have a 10-day fast start program called Leveraging LinkedIn. And it is the first 10 days of an 8-week program. We normally ask people to invest $797. And if people want to also email me and say, give me the LinkedIn program, we will waive your $797 enrollment fees to a 10-day program that includes live calls that I host, live coaching calls that I host, some self-study, and some amazing things that will help you understand once and for all how to raise your profits by raising your profile.
Woohoo! That's so awesome. Thank you. Wow. I'm astounded by all these gifts. This sounds really amazing.
Yeah, I wanted to meet your audience where they were. They connect with you, Jenny, so I know that the conversation about mission to movement is a very important one. I know that the conversation about how to be dynamic is an important one, so I wanted to provide that 90-minute training relevant to the most of what we're talking about today, yet I didn't want to shortchange anybody if they're literally in money-making mode. right? I don't judge anybody. If you're listening and you're in money making mode and you just want to learn how to use your LinkedIn profile to make some money next month, then by all means, tr@trgarland.me, say Jenny sent me, and just say, give me the LinkedIn program and we'll hook you up.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So you mentioned that, I was just curious. So you mentioned about when you were doing kind of that, you were getting burnout
Oh yeah.
and you wanted to create a shift in your own life and do
Mm-hmm.
something that was more purposeful, more created a positive change. Like, was there anything else? Like, I just thinking of, if someone else that's watching this is going through that and isn't sure how to take the next step, maybe they could gather some more insight from you about that pivotal moment when you kind of crossed the line, crossed over that threshold to take that first step.
That's a great question, and thank you for asking. Those of you that do a quick Google search on my name, TR Garland, or go to LinkedIn in search for TR Garland, you'll see my experience. And you'll make an assumption that I've always been wildly successful and that I've always been this happy and that I've always had a balance between, my business and my personal life. And I want to let everybody listening know right now, I'm just another human being like you. I grew up in Buffalo for the first 8 years of my life, Buffalo, New York. And then the next 3 years of my life, we spent in the Boston area. And then I grew up most of my life outside of Chicago. And I even went to a small private school on the Illinois-Iowa border, right on the Mississippi River, and that had less students than my high school did, Jenny. So we went to a small school. However, in my late 20s, I did move to California, to Los Angeles. And as I mentioned, I was in sales. And I got burned out from being surrounded by people that didn't share the same values and virtues that I did. And so I decided to be a solopreneur, and I got involved in real estate. And I was wildly successful as a real estate appraiser that allowed me to use my analytical mind and allowed me to go and travel and check out homes and take pictures and things like that. However, the real estate industry had some bad apples there, right? And I felt like the same people were following me from corporate into this real estate industry. And I'm like, how can I get away from these people that are, energy suckers and that are making me feel horrible and that are, doing unethical things? And I myself chose the personal development industry. And I said, of all the industries, this has got to have the highest percentage of people that at least are positive, right? And I've complimented you, Jenny, multiple times about the smile that you always bring into the room. It's absolutely fantastic. You've got such an amazing outlook on life, on business, on everything. And you make me smile, and you make the room a better room, and you make the world a better place by bringing that energy. And it was people like you that I sought to surround myself by. And when I got into the personal development space in the very beginning, I did work with Brian Tracy. I did work with Harv Eker. I did work with Bob Proctor. I did work with Mary Morrissey. I did work with Laura Langmeyer. I did work with the Think and Grow Rich brand for the first 5 years in this industry. And quite honestly, it burned me out because I made them millions and I helped them impact millions. However, it really fried me. I was going nonstop. And I took some time away. I stepped back because the stress was affecting me emotionally and physically. It was really, really wearing on myself, and I felt defeated, and I felt, all sorts of uncomfortable emotions. Mm-hmm. And Abigail was about 4 or 5 years old at the time. And for 9 months, I just was a daddy. I did some small things for work, but I was a daddy. I wanted my daughter to grow up and have a positive relationship with a male father figure. And I believe that the universe rewarded me by doing that with clarity on what I was supposed to do in this world. And what I mean by that is I believe that the universe, by seeing that I slowed down and that I focused on what was important in life, which was my wife and my daughter, that I was rewarded after 9 months of focusing on my family, that when I got the itch to get back into the game, then I was rewarded with clarity. And that clarity was that I'm supposed to use my experience from the 7 and 8 figure environments, and I'm supposed to use it for emerging change makers, transformational leaders, speakers, authors, coaches, so that they can make an impact in this world that only they can make.
That's awesome. Wow. Ah, that's that's an amazing download and from the universe.
It is. I didn't recognize it right off the bat, because when I got back into the game, I had some false starts. I accepted some clients that weren't the right clients for me to accept. However, now it's been 6 years or so, and I'm now fully congruent, that I'm supposed to help those people out there in the marketplace that have already been screwed by other people.
Yeah.
I'll just say it out loud, right? There are so many solutions out there, going back to the original concept, right? There are so many money-driven marketers out there that are really good at showing up in your Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube and Twitter feeds. They're fantastic. They're fantastic showing up at the seminars that you're trying to go to learn and actually take action. And they're amazing at getting you off track. They're amazing at selling you into a solution that you're not ready for. Many people are not ready for $20,000 to $70,000 investments out of the gate. They need to build the foundation. So I believe that myself, the experience, the path that I've been on, the highs and the lows, has taught me just to be approachable for emerging speakers, authors, and coaches, and be accessible to them. Because my definition of community is that no one gets left behind or forgotten. No one gets left behind or forgotten, because I do not want to see any more people burn out, or worse yet, go bankrupt because they're trying to take their mission and turn it into a movement.
That's awesome. So kind of also regarding the work that you do from a more personal standpoint, is there a daily ritual, or how do you shift into positive mindset every day?
That's a great question. And I've never fully shared this publicly to the full extent that I want to right now. So it's very, very methodical, and it's very, very practical, which is I myself bought, have you ever heard of Sonos? The Sonos speakers, Sonos, Sonos.
Sounds familiar.
They're at Best Buy, they're everywhere. They're online. And Sonos, you can, where's my phone? I don't even know where my phone is. You can download an app that controls the speakers in your house. And that app can play whatever's on your phone, streaming. So what I have done is I have recorded myself saying my own affirmations.
Oh, cool. Yes.
And I set an alarm with my Sonos system to where every morning at a certain time, it turns on, and for 15 to 20 minutes, just repeats my own voice saying my own affirmations. And that's how I wake up every morning.
Awesome. Yes, I love that.
So let me repeat myself as to why I think this is so unique, because a lot of times people listen to other people saying affirmations, or a lot of times they themselves might read off affirmations, from a cue card or something. And what I have found is your mind trusts yourself, right? Of all the people in the world, you're going to trust yourself first, more times than not. And so when you record your affirmations in your own voice, and then play those affirmations back in your own voice, I personally believe that your mind, subconscious and conscious, is going to believe what you're saying.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's like
So,
it's a deeper level of learning.
so that's the way that I start my morning. I start my morning basically with an alarm that is a recording of 6 minutes repeated 3 times of me saying my morning affirmations. And then at 12 noon on my Google Calendar, I have a reminder to take 6, which is take 6 minutes and actually look at my monitor and read off different affirmations out loud. That I conclude with some breathing exercises.
That's awesome.
And then in the evening, I formally meditate, with some binaural beats. I meditate for at minimum 40 minutes.
Wow.
So I build my own self-care into my calendar.
That's so key. That's so important as a more conscious entrepreneur to have that time for that grounding and that self-care.
And I'm only human, so I do miss it. I break my promise to myself. I sometimes sleep in. I sometimes am in the middle. Sometimes I'm conducting amazing interviews like this. I'm only human. However, I do my best to go back to the routine that allows me to be as productive and positive as possible.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing all of your insights
Yes.
and tools today, TR. We greatly appreciate it. I know I've taken a lot of notes about all of those 7 steps from
Mm-hmm.
creating a mission into a movement and talking about the authenticity and creating boundaries, communicating those boundaries to people, and really shifting how you can turn the relationships into how people are relating to you and the
Yeah.
power within that. So I greatly appreciate all of you being here today and sharing this with the audience to create more change and more impact in the world. Thank
It
you.
was my pleasure. If I can inspire people to realize that you do not need to become an internet marketer in order to succeed as a speaker, author, coach, or change maker. If you just, whittle it down to the least amount of moving pieces, people do business with other people. You can generate multiple 6 figures a year with no website and just clear, concise, and compelling messaging and a phone. You really, really can. So if I leave anybody with any amount of information and inspiration, it's that don't believe in the hype. You don't need a massive funnel. You don't need a massive email list. You do not need to run Facebook ads. People do business with other people. And if you just want to get to $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month, you can do so with no website. All you need to do is be clear on your mission, and your mission determines your messaging, and then apply it to the right marketing.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I appreciate all of you watching The Dynamic Entrepreneurs. Have an inspiring day.